It's been 4 months since anyone has seen 41-year-old Reina Carolina Morales Rojas. Security cameras captured this footage of Reina leaving her apartment in East Boston on November 26th. She was picked up by a car service and later dropped off 5 miles away in Somerville, Massachusetts.
She's an excellent mother and a great sister. We are very close as sisters.
Reina's sister, Alicia Morales, lives in Santa Ana, El Salvador. Reina crossed into the U.S. as an undocumented immigrant last May, but she and Alicia spoke to each other daily. So when Reina's phone started going straight to voicemail, Alicia became worried.
Did it seem odd to you that she wasn't answering her phone initially?
I just felt something was wrong because she never turned her phone off, not even to charge it. She always told me she kept it on in case there was an emergency with her kids or someone in the family.
Last year, Reina's family says she quit her job as a local policewoman in El Salvador and came to the U.S. alone. Her goal? To one day bring her 2 children, now 15 and 13, to live with her.
She left for the United States for a better future for her kids. And I've been saying that instead of finding the American dream, what she found was hell. Because only God knows what she must be suffering.
When Alicia didn't hear from her sister, she immediately reached out to Reina's landlord, Francisco Magana.
And this was Reina's apartment?
Yeah.
He recently showed us where Reina had been living at the time of her disappearance. Magana filed a missing persons report with the Boston Police Department on November 28th, 2 days after Reina was last seen. But more than 6 weeks would pass before the Boston Police Department issued a public notice about Reina's disappearance.
I have never heard of a case like this before. To be missing November the 26th and not hear about it until January the 12th, that's a long time to go.
Julia Mejia is the first Latina elected to the Boston City Council. She recently introduced a resolution calling on police to treat all missing persons equally.
In this case, Ms. Morales Rojas is not only a woman of color, but also an immigrant, which further makes her susceptible to dismissive treatment.
This is not just the case with Reina. We are seeing this across the country, the lack of urgency around missing cases with women of color.
Reina is one of more than 250,000 women and girls who go missing in this country every year. But exactly how many of these women are Latina is largely unknown. That's because local and national law enforcement don't often gather data on missing Latinos like they do for white and black people.
As a criminologist, I can't say, oh, there are this percentage of missing people that are Latino, because the data actually isn't there to say that.
Danielle Slakoff is a criminologist at Sacramento State University.
So many of our major criminal justice databases actually lump white and Latino people together. So this is a community that often is not viewed on its own accord, and it's often lumped in with this other category.
When a person goes missing, local law enforcement will enter any details they have into the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC, a database overseen by the FBI. But within the NCIC, Hispanic is only listed as an ethnicity, not a specific race, making it optional for police to include. Last year, of the more than 271,000 total entries under missing females, 21,759 women were categorized as Hispanic. But in the overall database, the optional ethnicity field was filled out in less than 20% of cases. Back in Boston, questions still remain why it took the police so long to publicly alert Reina's disappearance.
It's a misstep that happened, and we as the police department own it, and it shouldn't have happened.
Victor Evans is the deputy superintendent of the Boston Police Department.
It taking 6 weeks is not standard protocol. Is it for an alert to go out for a missing person?
No, it's not. I mean, the public alert was sent out 6 weeks later, but prior to that, a lot of investigative work went into it. We've canvassed areas for public and private video. We've utilized her photo through several law enforcement agencies, not only in Massachusetts, but around the country. We utilized the access of drones that we have, along with canines, to locate Ms. Rojas.
But Reina's disappearance remains a mystery.
Police detectives are looking for 41-year-old Reina Morales Rojas.
And her case highlights another major issue: how the media covers missing persons cases. Studies have shown that media outlets often take their cues from police.
We hear from law enforcement and then we cover it, right?
Marcela Garcia is a columnist for the Boston Globe and one of the first journalists to cover Reina's story. She believes the case has largely been ignored by media outlets because of what's known as missing white woman syndrome, a term famously coined by the NewsHour's Gwen Ifill.
Tonight, the mystery deepens in the desperate search for 39-year-old Anna Walsh.
It refers to the disproportionate coverage missing and endangered white women often receive.
When the white women go missing, there's just all this attention and resources and outpouring of support and everybody wants to know what happened and let's find her. I said, how is this possible that a woman can go missing for a month and a half and we don't pay the same attention, we don't give the same resources to find her?
The Columbia Journalism Review recently examined thousands of news articles about missing people to create a tool called Are You Pressworthy?, where people can enter their own information to calculate how much coverage they would receive if they went missing. A 41-year-old Latina in Massachusetts, like Reina, would get about 8 stories. But a missing white woman in her early 20s would be covered in more than 120 stories. Criminologists call the phenomenon the ideal victim stereotype.
The ideal victim is somebody who is viewed as blameless and as needing our protection, our societal protection. And women and girls of color are not portrayed in that way. Oftentimes they are portrayed as risk-taking at the time that the disappearance or the crime occurred, whereas white women and girls are often portrayed as being innocent and blameless.
Alicia Morales says she continues to search for answers from police.
I do believe that because she is Latina, because she is undocumented, because she is an immigrant, they never cared about her. And I even told them that.
The Boston Police Department say they have no updates in Reina's case, which remains an active investigation. And they rejected accusations that missing undocumented people are treated differently.
We're here to help anyone, regardless of their status. We want to know where she is. We want to know what happened to her. And if something tremendously bad has happened to her, we want to bring the person responsible for it up for justice.
In El Salvador, Reina's children are holding out hope that they'll one day see their mom again. We have shielded their faces to protect their identities.
We love her and miss her, and we know that one day she'll be back with us here in El Salvador.
I have faith that she'll be found, that one day they're going to call and tell us that they found her. That would be the most beautiful thing to happen in my life.
It's a family now clinging to their faith as they wait for answers. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Laura Barone Lopez in Boston.